The sun rose over Chowpatty Beach in Mumbai, casting golden light across the Arabian Sea. A small crowd had gathered, their curious eyes fixed on an unusual contraption, a strange flying machine that looked like it belonged in ancient Sanskrit texts rather than the modern world of the British Raj. At the center of this gathering stood a man of humble origins but extraordinary vision, Shivkar Bapuji Talpade. Shivkar Bapuji Talpade was born in 1864 in the Dakarwadi area of Mumbai, then Bombay, into a modest Pathar Prabhu family. While most children of his community were content with traditional occupations, young Shivkar's eyes always drifted upward to the birds, the clouds, the endless sky. His fascination wasn't mere childish wonder. At the Sanskrit school where he studied, Shivkar discovered ancient texts that spoke of Vimanas, flying machines described in epics like the Ramayana, and technical treatises like the Vaimanika Shastra. While scholars debated whether these were mythology or history, Shivkar asked a different question. Could they be blueprint? If our ancestors could imagine it, he would tell his skeptical classmates, perhaps they knew something we've forgotten. Talpade's life took a decisive turn when he met Shastri Subraya, a renowned scholar of Vedic literature and aeronautics. Subraya had spent years studying the Vaimanika Shastra, attributed to the sage Bharadwaja, which contained detailed descriptions of ancient flying machines. Under Subraya's guidance, Talpade began an ambitious project to construct a working model of a Vimana based on these ancient principles. He called his creation Martsaka, meaning friend of the wind. Working from his modest home and workshop, Talpade studied the principles described in the texts. The ancient manuscripts spoke of Mercury, vortex engines, specific geometric designs, and the use of solar and atmospheric energy. While some of these concepts seemed fantastical, Talpade approached them with the mind of both an engineer and a believer. His wife supported him throughout, even as their savings dwindled and neighbors whispered about the foolish dreamer wasting his life on impossible fantasies. The date was 1895. Accounts vary, but most place it between 1894 and 1895. The location, Chowpatty Beach, with its wide open space, is perfect for an experimental flight. Talpade had constructed an unmanned aircraft powered by what he claimed was a mercury ion plasma engine based on ancient texts. The machine was cylindrical, made of bamboo canvas and various metals, with intricate designs that reflected both scientific calculation and artistic heritage. Among the witnesses were Justice Govind Ranade, the reformer and scholar, and Sayajirao Getwa III, the progressive Maharaja of Baroda, along with a curious crowd of locals and British officials. As Talpade made final adjustments, his hands trembled not with fear, but with the weight of expectation. He was about to attempt what many considered impossible, bridging 5,000 years of history with a single flight. The machine was activated. According to various accounts, the Martsaka lifted off the ground, rising into the air before the astonished crowd. Witnesses reported it reached a height of approximately 1,500 feet before it lost power and crashed back to the beach. Some cheered. Others stood in stunned silence. But in that brief moment, Shivkar Bapuji Talpade had achieved something remarkable. He had made something fly 8 years before the Wright brothers' historic flight at Kitty Hawk. What should have been a triumph became a tragedy of obscurity. Despite the presence of notable witnesses, Talpade's achievement garnered little recognition. The British colonial government showed no interest in supporting or documenting his work. Without official backing or funding, Talpade couldn't continue his experiments or refine his design. Adding to his misfortune, his mentor and supporter Subraya passed away shortly after the demonstration, taking with him crucial knowledge and encouragement. Financial ruin followed. Talpade had exhausted his resources building the Martsaka. He took up work as a lecturer and artist to support his family, his dreams of flight pushed aside by the harsh realities of colonial India. The Marutsaka itself disappeared. Some say it was dismantled, others claim it was confiscated. The technical drawings and documents Talpade had prepared were lost or destroyed. His achievement faded into whispers, then into legend, then into near-total obscurity. Talpade's story presents historians with a puzzle wrapped in patriotism and clouded by missing evidence. Supporters point to the credible witnesses present, including Justice Ranade and Maharaja Gaekwad. They argue that colonial bias suppressed acknowledgement of an Indian inventor's achievement. They note that many indigenous innovations were systematically ignored or appropriated during the Raj. Skeptics counter that no contemporary newspaper accounts exist, no photographs were taken, and no detailed technical documents survive. They question whether the described Mercury engine could have actually functioned, and whether the flight truly occurred as described or was perhaps a much more modest demonstration. The truth likely lies somewhere in between. Talpade probably did construct and launch an unmanned flying model that rose briefly into the air, though perhaps not to the heights later claimed. Whether this constitutes true flight in the aeronautical sense remains debated. Shivkar Bapuji Talpade died in 1917 in Bombay, largely forgotten by the world he had tried to impress. For decades, his name appeared in no history books, no halls of fame. The Wright brothers were celebrated globally for their 1903 flight, while Talpade remained unknown even in his own country. But stories have a way of surviving. In the late 20th century, researchers began rediscovering Talpade's tale. Books were written, investigations launched. The Indian Institute of Technology published studies examining ancient Vedic texts on aeronautics. Documentaries were filmed. Stamps were proposed in his honor. In 1998, a Hindi film, The Flying Man, was made about his life. Schools and institutions began teaching about him as part of India's scientific heritage. A crater on the moon was named after his aircraft, Marutsaka. Today, Shivkar Bapuji Talpade remains a figure of both inspiration and controversy, a symbol of indigenous innovation, colonial suppression, and the complex relationship between mythology and history, tradition and progress. On Chowpatty Beach today, tourists and locals walk where Talpade once stood. The Arabian Sea still reflects the sun's light, and children still fly kites in the Mumbai sky. Did Shivkar Bapuji Talpade truly achieve powered flight before the Wright brothers? The definitive proof may never emerge. But perhaps that's not the most important question. The real story is of a man who dared to dream when dreaming itself was considered impractical, who looked to his ancestors not with blind faith but with scientific curiosity, who spent his life and fortune chasing an idea that everyone said was impossible. In an age of colonial subjugation, when Indians were told their civilization belonged to the past, Talpade insisted that ancient wisdom could inform modern innovation. Whether his machine flew 1,500 feet or 150 feet or simply hopped briefly off the ground, he embodied something the British Empire couldn't suppress: the indomitable human spirit to reach for the sky. And in the end, isn't that what flight has always been about? Not just lifting machines off the ground, but lifting human imagination beyond the limits of what we think is possible. The desire to fly is an idea handed down to us by our ancestors who in their grueling travels across trackless lands in PR. Historic times looked enviously on the birds soaring freely through space at full speed above all obstacles on the infinite highway of the air. Wilbur Wright.